So I was introduced to Christ relatively at a young age. I was maybe 11 when my grandmother introduced us to church. Nobody else in the family went to church. When she passed away, my granddad, he started going along and finding out more about God and Christ, and then it just kind of spread from there. My parents and my aunt and my uncle and all became Christians, and it changed my life from a family where there was no Christ to a family who were more loving, more accepting, and as a teenager, that kind of unsettled me a bit, but I did believe that Jesus was the Son of God myself after studying when I was about 14 years old, and committed my life to Christ. I was quite young at the time. I didn't really understand what I was committing my life to do, and I think that affected the way I saw myself as a Christian, and the feelings that became more and more once I'd come out of the water. So, you had that rush of, I'm going to be the best Christian ever, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to convince my friends, and it didn't really work out that way at all. So by the age of 17, I had a very mixed idea about Christianity, and the failings in my own life and the sin that started to creep in there. And I fell away from Christ until I was about 30 years old, and had given birth to my first son. At that point, when I became a parent, the responsibility that came over me at that point made it quite clear to me that I wanted my son to have a God in his life. I wanted God in his life, and I wanted him to know Jesus himself, and that was really my return to actually knowing Christ. So picking up my Bible for really what was essentially the first time since becoming a Christian, and learning about who Christ really was and what he'd done for me, and why I wanted to follow him and his example. So after a life of domestic violence, I moved back to Scotland. I asked God to show me a way to return to him, and he did, and I ended up going back to church. And when I walked through the doors of the congregation, it was, even though I had that guilt there myself of all the things that I'd done wrong in that 17 years, it was like everybody was so joyous to see me, so happy to see me, and I just felt like I'd come home again. So since I came back to church, I moved to a lovely congregation up Dundee Way, and learnt a lot from that congregation about love and friendship. Met some wonderful people along the way, and then met my husband Mark, who is a good example of the way you need to live a Christian life. It's helped me a lot, having that knowledge from the Bible and how to walk with Jesus, and how to reach out to others. My life's completely changed from the way it was, and people that I come across nowadays, I'll say to them, you wouldn't recognise me if you knew me before. The transformation that God has given me is second to none. It's a perfect plan he's had so far. I've got 3 lovely children from his plan. I've got a wonderful husband, and I'm able to work within the church community, and I've met some wonderful people that I would never have had met in my normal life. So I feel I can trust a lot of people within the church now, to go to them if I ever needed any help. They encourage me with their knowledge and wisdom. I can care for others myself and reach out to them. It's been a change from what was the miry pits into something wonderful. So I would recommend that you look into becoming a Christian a bit deeper. If you've got a heart that's searching, or a empty space there that you feel a void, I would ask you to just speak to somebody. One of the links that you get from the video is here, or somebody that you know that is a Christian, and find out a little bit more about how to find out more about Christ. He's made some exceptional changes in my life, to my attitude. The biggest three things he's actually given me is hope for a future, a sense of peace even through the most difficult of times. Just now is a pandemic, and there's not that fear there that if something bad was going to happen, then I would die, because I know that there's something after. That hope's there, and the peace that gives me is something that I don't see in others that aren't Christians. And the last thing that I have is love, and the love that I feel from the people round about me now, the way that I can meet complete strangers but they feel like they're part of my family in Christ, is just amazing. I've got that freedom of knowing that I am going to slip up, and I am going to do things that I'm disappointed in, but I can just pick myself up, shake myself off, and know that I'm forgiven for these things. It's truly a comforting feeling that you get from that, knowing Christ and knowing that this isn't the end.